Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Haunt Talk. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the Haunted Schoolhouse and Laboratory in Akron, Ohio. Another local one for us. And the last time we had went there for the actual haunt season was 2023. And they don't really advertise if anything was new or not, so it's a Sunday and one of the few haunted houses around us that are open on a Sunday, so we decided to go check it out. So if you are interested in finding out what's changed at the Akron Haunted Schoolhouse, and if you haven't heard of it, by the way, it's been open for like 52 years. How have you not heard of it? But anyways, if you're curious to know what's changed, and if it's worth going this year, make sure to stick around for our review of the Akron Haunted Schoolhouse. So welcome to our review of the Akron Haunted Schoolhouse. So one thing I think that is a little bit different this year as you enter the property is like the way you enter, like the line seems a little bit different. Mm-hmm. They seemed, and I could be wrong on this, but since the last time we were there, it seemed like they had more picnic tables and places to sit at the food truck, which we didn't have food, but I guess it was the same one that they have at the Factory of Terror, which we did have some food from that, and it was really good.
Yeah.
And they have a bar there, which has a lot of the similar drinks as Factory of Terror. They have a rotten apple drink, which is just fireball and apple juice, a orange creamsicle drink, and then some kind of berry drink that was like themed to vampire blood or something, I think it was.
Yeah, it was called Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah, we didn't partake any of that because, yeah, we really don't drink at the haunts much unless it's Factory of Terror because that's kind of the point. But, I mean, it did look cool. It's kind of themed well. It looks like a little castle out there and stuff. Now, one of the biggest improvements, and I don't think this was done in our last actual review of it. We've seen it before because we did the Christmas event and I've done the Valentine's Day event for it, so it was that way. But they actually finally, it used to just be the cafeteria, I think, of the school is where the line was. It was barely decorated.
Yeah, I think it was the gymnasium, actually.
Okay, it was a gymnasium or something. It was one of those, but they had the axe throwing, but there's like a prop or two, but that was it.
Yeah, it was like very bare bones.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird and kind of, I mean, yeah, it kind of went with the whole school theme, but it was kind of like weird. It was like, why don't you do anything in here? Like, it was weird. But now they have like a ton of props. There is a bar inside that area as well as the axe.
It was closed. I don't know if maybe it's closed on Sundays. It wasn't open when we were there, so we didn't even go in and look. But
yeah. But it they like made it like a full-fledged nice little queue line area.
It reminds me quite a bit of what the queue line for Hush looked like.
Yes.
Because it kind of looks like, and I did take a picture of it real quick. It's not the best picture because like there's no lines and there's people behind us, so I was kind of moving. But it's like a cute little like Halloween town is what it looks like in there. And then you go to like a little, it's kind of weird. They put you in like a little holding line, and then eventually you walk up a bunch of steps, and then that's when you get to actually enter the haunt. Yeah. Which means it's time to get into the actual review, which as always, we must refer to the Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! So as always, we are going to start with sets and props. So the first, we'll talk about the schoolhouse. Now, one thing I will say is not much has changed, at least that we could discern, since the 2023 review. I really couldn't tell. I mean, I'm sure there were some things that were added, but I couldn't really tell of any, like, scenes that were, like, completely new.
Yeah.
But some things you go through, it does start, like, school-themed.
So it starts as a school, and then it just kind of goes
Yeah, it just kind of does whatever it wants. Yeah, there's a lot of scenes, and I do like that there are some of the really big classic scenes that they've altered, but they have ultimately kept, though. Like, they haven't altered so much where they're unrecognizable. Yeah. And some of those are, like, this cool... Yeah, it's a graveyard scene where you, like, walk into the mound and then come back out and walk down to a crypt. Yeah. Dracula's Castle is a classic that's in the schoolhouse. Oh, let's see. What? The Tilty Room has been there for a long time. Yeah. It's not, like, original, obviously, I don't think. But it's been there since we did the documentary in 2015. Which is basically like a bayou and it, like, moves. Yeah. They have a really cool, and this is newer. I know they had it before, but it's kind of like just a Halloween jack-o'-lantern section, which is cool.
Yeah, I like that. It's a whole little area that's all like kind of like spooky scarecrows and pumpkin monsters and stuff like that, and it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool scenes, and almost all of it's done really well for the scenes. There are some parts, just because I think the way the place was structured originally, that are like slight small sections of just dark hallways. There's not a lot of it, and they do have some fun things in there, but I think just the way it's designed, there's not much they can probably do about it without gutting sections and just redoing it all. Which, I mean, it is what it is. I just wish, which we'll get more into in a minute, there's more actors in those sections to make them not boring, but, sometimes it is kind of that way. And also, well, we'll talk about them more when we get into actors. You eventually go down to the basement, which that part has been changed quite a bit from what it originally was. The first part's basically the same, where there's, well, it wasn't working, but there's like a big, I want to call it a sandworm, but I guess it's not a sandworm, like a big, giant, weird turd-looking sewer worm. I don't know. He used to come out of the water and like snap at a body, or he would at least go up towards the body hanging above him. Now he just kind of, it's just weird. You can still see it, but it just doesn't work, so it just looks gross. He's like sitting in like stagnant looking water.
Yeah, it just looks like this weird goopy thing just kind of chilling.
But not really in a haunted house way, like in a we don't take care of that way type of thing.
Yeah.
Which was a little sad. But then after that, the basement gets a lot better. The basement's by far the shortest floor because it's not that big.
Yeah.
But it's very Satan-y, and then you like go through hell because you're like through like these like burning walls. And there's like a church you go through and stuff down there. Just kind of like basic, I'm in a Satan-y thing. I don't remember if the giant skull wall that's like literally the thumbnail for the documentary was there. I don't know if I saw that.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I could have just missed it because, again, they've changed the pathing and stuff down there, but maybe they got rid of that, which just makes me sad because it's nostalgic for me just because it was like, the thumbnail for the documentary.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't working too the last few times we've been there either because it normally drips water,
it did
blood
used to
kind of stuff.
But it was still cool just being on the wall. Yeah. I don't know. And then, you go over to the lab, which also hasn't changed much. It's very lab themed, like experimenting on animals. It kind of starts with, they have that really cool scene where you just kind of like look down into the abyss when it's actually a giant hole, because I think it used to be like a room where they would test maybe aerodynamics, like when it
was a gravity room. Yeah.
Yeah, when it used to be, whatever it was, an actual lab for whatever. Yeah. Something that was really interesting towards the end, where the vortex tunnel used to be, and they used to have a really good vortex tunnel here, is just kind of like this big empty room with like lights, fog, and sound, and it acted like there was going to be like a big like scare that happened because there was like this buildup of music, and nothing. And it happened twice, so I know that there's no way we missed whatever it was supposed to be, and I'm like,
no, it was just,
why isn't there anything in there?
It was just really weird. It was very disorientating because you literally couldn't see anything. But, yeah, it was like this build-up that just didn't deliver.
Yeah, which is kind of strange. But most of the sets and props in the lab are actually really good.
Yeah.
And some things I do think were different. Like, I think they still have some of it, but they used to have all of those, like, tubes of goo, and it used to actually have water that would run through them.
Yeah.
Back in the day, but I believe that system, like, just got, like, all kinds of messed up and was just really expensive to fix or something, so they just scrapped it.
Yeah, they only have, like, the one part.
Yeah, they have just a little bit, but it used to go throughout that whole room.
The whole room, yeah. I do like the one room with all the heads. That one's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, all the heads, like, they talk and move. It's creepy.
Yeah, like they're keeping them alive. Kind of like Futurama, how the heads are in, like, the jars and stuff. That's basically what they had going on, but a little bit more, like, non-comical, Yeah.
And then eventually you make your way down to the basement, which is a very short section. It's kind of like you're almost in a sewer type of thing. And then you go outside, and there's not much that happened outside. You kind of weave around an ambulance, and there's just some like lights and pallets and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was a guy that was dressed like a football player, and he came out when we were almost all the way through that area, and he was just going, "Hello, is anybody out there?" It was really strange.
Yeah, but there's nothing really else in that area. But yeah, sets and props we thought were pretty good. There's just some areas that, like we said, was kind of like, well, what's going on here? Like, what, And I would like to see a little bit more change year to year, especially with, like, the revenue that, like, Factory and Schoolhouse make. I would just like a little bit more change up here and there. But overall, we still thought it was really good, and we gave sets and props an 8.
So moving on to actors. So we've always had this problem with the Akron Schoolhouse and Lab, and it just seems like it just never gets fixed, but they need more actors.
Yeah, they need more, and the unfortunate part, and again, it was a Sunday, the unfortunate part was we caught up to people instantly, because there was, of course, children that were stopping, in the Schoolhouse. And of course, there isn't much the actors can do. Well, there is actually, because I mean, there is blocking if the actors are trained correctly to do it to separate people.
Yeah.
That wasn't attempted at all. But again, like, it became such a conga line where I don't think an actor could have fixed it. But the problem is the actors completely gave up. Well, not all of them, most of them.
Yeah.
Where they would just stand in their scene and just look at us, not even or anything, just look at us. Now, there were some that tried to scare us, but the majority of them just stood in the corner and just watched us pass by, just like this. And it's like, well, at least interact with us. Like, you can see this is a crappy situation. Our entire experience has been ruined now, and it's not going... And I mean, again, like, the whole thing got ruined because of these people, which isn't the Schoolhouse's fault or the actor's fault, but it is the actor's fault for not trying. Like, they didn't try to interact at all. And so that was a big bummer.
Yeah.
Thankfully, things were a lot better in the lab because we didn't get conga lined, and the actors were a lot more interactive, and they were really, like, going around the room and stuff like that. There was the one, I can't remember the one, if it was in, was that the lab or the Schoolhouse that has that, like, observation room? I would think it would be the lab.
I think it was the lab, yeah.
But that one was really cool because I don't even know where this guy came from. I walk into the room and I hear a sliding, and I look up and he's like, has his hands and feet, like, against the wall, and he's sliding down from the ceiling on top of me, so I, scuttle forward, and he drops down, and, spooks me, and then we walk, and he jumps up over a thing, and he scares us there. Then we go to another room, and he flies out through a door, like, that's how you run a room,
Yeah.
Like, he got us 3 times.
He did a really good job.
In one scene.
Yeah.
And I know this place because we've been behind the scenes. I know it is structured in a way that allows actors to get multiple pop scares, but it happened so little to us. It was just kind of disappointing. Well, it happened so little to us in the Schoolhouse. Like, people weren't trying. Because in the lab, they actually were doing that a lot more. I mean, like, just overall, I think, like, the people in the lab were pretty good. There wasn't a lot of interaction, not much, like, dialogue, but just people got us decent-ish jump scares. I didn't get many jump scares, but at least more than none in that one. I feel like they focused on Kim a little bit more in the lab. They kind of seemed to begin the second person more than the first person. Because
Yeah. Well, the same thing kind of happened in the Schoolhouse. I wasn't really getting very much because I was leading, and it seemed like he was getting a lot of the scares. So it seemed like they were always going after, like, the second person that was in line, which was...
But actors, we averaged it at a 7 just because we thought they did really good in the lab, but the Schoolhouse was probably more of like a 5.5 or a 6 though.
Yeah.
But we're averaging, like, because we said we believe that was like a 5.5 or a 6, and the lab was probably like an 8, so we just kind of put it in the middle at 7 because we didn't want to give individual scores to the 2 houses because they don't sell, as far as we are aware, a ticket for just the Schoolhouse anymore. They used to, but now if you buy the ticket, you're getting both, so we're rating on the experience you're going to get. That's going to move us to scare factor. And obviously, from what we said, it wasn't super scary. And it's never an insanely scary haunted house.
No.
Before Factory of Terror owned it, it definitely was scarier. Sets and props weren't as good, but it was scarier. Probably because it was a lot darker, and I just feel like they filled it up with more actors.
Yeah.
Then too. But, and unfortunately, that's a long time ago now. But, yeah, it wasn't super scary. We gave it a 6. I would say if you go into good nights, probably closer to like a 7, 7.5.
Yeah.
But yeah, we gave it a 6 for the experience that we had. And so moving on to value. Oh, do you remember the prices? We paid $28 the night we went. I don't remember what it tops out at. I want to say probably close to 40.
Probably, yeah.
It's one of those things where it's $26, but then you have your processing fees and all of that.
Yeah, and then it varies from night that you go and stuff like that. I know that, like, they also do like a kids night kind of deal where if you buy an adult ticket,
don't like that.
You can get a kids ticket for like $5 cheaper or something.
And
like
Sundays,
that.
Now it's not like a special
Sundays,
event. It's just kids are cheaper to bring into the haunt, which I'm just not a big fan of. Incentivizing that. But, that's more of a personal thing for me. Like I said, there's a little bit of entertainment, but nothing like Factory of Terror. There's one bar, and if you want to hang out there, you can. And, like I said, the Fast Pass was not necessary at all when we went, so you kind of gauge, I guess, what the parking lot looks like if you want to buy a Fast Pass. It's kind of rough buying Fast Passes online, because you're locking yourself into that, and then when you get there, and if you don't need it, it just feels bad.
Yeah.
So I say if you're going to do the Fast Pass to this place, I'd probably wait till you get there to kind of maybe feel it out. But you can't see the line, really, from outside. There's a line when we got there, but that's because it hasn't opened yet. But typically, there's no line you can see when you pull up to the place. But For value, we gave it a 7, and that's basically based off of just because like the show we got wasn't super great that night. Again, hopefully it's better on weekend nights, but we have been on Fridays and Sundays, and it's been the same situation with the amount of actors. Because that was another thing we didn't really mention, but like only one of all the puppets and like things they had were working. And they had some really cool ones, like that giant like syringe that the person puts at you.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was sitting there. No one was doing anything with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which just kind of sucks to see these cool puppets and then nothing. They did have a cool puppet though that was like a werewolf type looking thing, which was cool. I don't know if I'd actually seen that one before, so I thought that was cool.
And the rat was working. The rat was working.
Okay, I don't remember.
Head.
But
yeah, that one was working. So overall, we gave it a 7.
Yep, so it was pretty good. It's still probably worth going to if you haven't been there. But if you were there last year, I'd probably recommend going somewhere else just because nothing, at least noticeable, has changed. So I'd maybe, unless it's like an annual thing for you, I'd say maybe go to someplace you haven't been this year instead of returning there just because it is, the same. But like I said, still decent. Just one of the lesser walkthroughs we've had of the Schoolhouse for sure. But yeah, have you been there this year, and what did you think of the experience this year? Does it align with ours, or did you have a different one? Was it better or worse? Who knows? Make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, and make sure you're ringing that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.